Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
And I'm Aaron.
We actually don't do a lot of miniatures games on this channel, but here's one. So
I'm going to butcher this, but Aristeia, I always add, there's no R there. Aristeia,
I think.
Aristeia is a miniatures battle game for 2 players. We're going to be duking it out in an arena. It's like a sports show in the future kind of thing, kind of feels Hunger Game-esque, where you're going to be trying to control points on the board to get victory points at the end of each round. And you're going to be using your special abilities and moving around and
you playing
chucking
cards.
dice and playing cards. Like, it is an intense battle, tooth and nail to the finish.
We don't really play a lot of miniatures games. Like, really, we've played like X-Wing and Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing, and I played Rune Wars like once. We're not exactly miniatures game people. I've never played Warhammer, War Machine, the other game that these guys do, Infinity. But I definitely would if I had the time or money or ability to paint.
And this game kind of blurs the line because it has pretty much everything you need for a miniatures game. Like, you get the miniatures and you get their cards to go with them, because that's like the biggest thing. Like, we play games that have miniatures in them, like Blood Rage and
Imperial Assault and Descent and all those games.
Yeah, but like, they're not really like, you don't have like special stats for a character per se in those. Like, it's not like you build a team, you don't like, I buy this core set and then I can make whatever team I want from it, and you could buy your own set and make your own team and then come to it with like, oh, okay, who are you playing? Oh, a good thing I brought a counter for that guy. Like, that's what this kind of miniatures game is, but it's a little more self-contained being in the box, and it kind of feels a little easier for us to...
It's more accessible.
Yeah, that's the word.
I could see that word trying to come out of your mouth. It's ACA. It's an ACA. It's ACA.
It's not as daunting to get to the table versus those other ones where like you're like, okay, you have to have a table and you need to get all this warscape. You
need all the
stuff.
terrain. You get all these pieces. You need to paint your figures and stuff. Now, you can, of course, paint these figures, and you probably should. They do include a sticker set if you want to sticker your team, so that way you're not constantly referring to which sculpt is what. Okay, this chick with the flowy thing, that's this chick over here. But I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend, of course, getting these all professionally painted and beautiful and stuff. Then it'd be pretty obvious who's who. Now, again, like you said, it's really not that daunting. There aren't that many things. Now, again, if this is your first game ever, of course, if you're reading, you're like, play a card. Which one's the card? What's a damage token? Dice! But if you've played any type of Descent, Imperial Assault, that type of thing, you'll pick up on a lot of things. You just need to remember what a lot of the keywords are, and that's really it.
Yeah, the reference guide will definitely help you with all of the different tokens, because there's like, you can poison people, and you can like, I think this is freeze, and then there's like you daze them.
Yeah, dazzle.
Like there's these keywords that all do different. They stun them. They keep them in place for a while. You can taunt people, and you put a token on them, so they have to attack you. Like, there's all of these like keywords, but that reference guide will be your friend in figuring out what they actually mean, and like because like my card says, oh, I get to dazzle you. What does dazzle do again? You got to refer to that guide if you're new to it. But once you've played it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that just means you can't shoot outside of a range of 0 or 1. So like, doing that to somebody with a lot of range, it's gonna really
really cripple them. Yeah, and that's the strategy in knowing what the other player's special ability is and trying to counter that. Now, I do want to bring this up, that there is a really nice big reference guide. There's also sounds kind of silly but really helpful how to play, that literally walks you through like a whole
first round.
Yeah, but it tells you like, you move this guy up to here, they attack there. This is what you roll. In the very first printing though, there's one of the dice are wrong. In the thing, it says the blue dice, the distribution are wrong.
It has like the success and a little exclamation point for the
switches.
Yeah.
So,
like,
but it says that that's the side, and that's not the side. It's a known problem, so it'll be fixed in later printings. But if you have an older copy and you realize that, there you go. They also include, totally unnecessary, but they really went the extra mile, this whole big book about lore for this universe. I don't know, I think it's in the same universe as Infinity or whatever, but you just get tons and tons of backstory and information and a lot of great artwork in there. I'm just... Again, this was totally unnecessary, but I think they really went the extra mile with this.
I feel like that is a thing for miniatures games. Like, most games like that we play, you don't care about the backstory because you're not, like, making an emotional bond with your characters that you're going to battle with. Like, it's cool for people that want to know more about what these characters are doing and why they're doing it. These dice are awesome. Like, there's such, like, high-quality dice. Every time you're attacking or every time you're defending, you're going to be chucking some dice. You can spend cards to add more dice to your rolls or to, like, nullify things. I had a lot of fun chucking these dice, for sure. Like,
They really do have a plethora of symbols spread amongst them. And since you're going to be rolling so many kind of all the time, it really makes for just a great dice chuck. Like, this type of game makes me wish I could play big miniatures games more because it was just a lot of fun. I really kind of like dove into it. And like, this isn't necessarily my type of universe, but I actually kind of dig it a little bit. Like the art is a little bit more anime than I tend to like. I'm not a big fan of anime. I actually just started watching Death Note because a lot of my friends are telling me I should be watching anime. And it's okay so far. But there's just a lot of cool things with this game. You kind of like program which characters are going to activate when, and we both flip up. And I have a 4 and you have a 6.
I have higher initiative, so I pick.
No, you don't. I'm going to play this card that gives me +3 initiative. So no, I'm going to go first. So this guy's going to run. Like, there's a lot of cool things that go on with this game that they kind of like, it's just nuts and bolts. Like, there isn't a lot of different types of cover and different types of terrain and everything. It's just run at each other and smash.
And then try and hold down points. Because most of the game, there's a couple different scenarios in there. They're very similar. There's like King of the Hill. You just want to hold down this point. Like at the end of each round, you get victory points. The Assault one, that point will move around. Scorched Earth, it also moves around, but I think like every time it goes to a spot, it can never go to that spot again. So you kind of like have to play a little more strategically. But
there's only 4 scenarios in here, so I guess that would be one of my few complaints is that I wish that they could come out with like a scenario book or like an alternate map or something.
Well, there is an alternate map.
Oh, do it.
It's blue. Yeah, there's on this side. There's a little more like walls in the way and stuff. So,
or if you want to just play with the blue map and ignore the walls.
Yeah, it's a very similar map. I mean, it's still a hexagon. You're still in the hexadome. It's supposed to be, a sports show where we're all inside this dome fighting. So
yeah, it feels like Alita Battle Angel, but I know that's totally different. That was like a rollerball type of thing. I don't know. I just really like that movie and wish more people watched it. It didn't make that much money.
Whenever your characters take lethal damage, they get knocked out and go to the bench at the end of the round. They go to the infirmary and then eventually they go to the bench. And then when you finally get them back on the battlefield, they're at a -2 energy disadvantage, which really kind of sucks because you only have 5 energy.
And like, energy is basically like your action points.
Yeah, and you spend 2 to move. So like you're gonna need to move. So then you're down to 1.
And there really aren't that many things that not a lot of characters even have a 1 energy point action to do.
Yeah.
So that can be a pretty big deal. So you really don't want to die. But it is good that when you die, you're not dead and eliminated completely. You're just okay. You're gotta respawn real quick.
So I have a confession to make. I spent a lot of money on Cool Mini or Not Kickstarters because of the cool minis, and this game definitely holds up to that as well. It's not Cool Mini or Not, but they have these cool minis, and they're really high production quality. So I love these. I've kind of been like, like any game that's like that, it's just like this big chunky game. I'm like, okay, Arcadia Quest. I'm like, oh, there's just tons of minis, but they're not really like, they're just character pawns. They're just moving around. They're not really like a thing. Like this, I feel like when you get them, you're gonna paint your character up, and you're gonna feel like there's more at stake because it's a tournament, and like you could play this in tournament play. You could take this to Gen Con or something if there is a tournament going on and have your own painted up team and like have some alternate paint schemes going on. Like,
yeah, it feels more personal because you like care about that character,
Yeah. And the rest of the component quality, like I said, like the dice, like I was raving about before, like everything about this game is well put together. They deserve your money.
Well, the only complaint I would have is the damage tokens are kind of small. The 3s are as big as I wish the 1s were. The 1s are kind of small. Mm-hmm. But other than that, And I guess
You can always pimp it out and get your own tokens.
You could always get better tokens.
Like
the
3D printed,
or like the acrylic or whatever. And also like some of the condition tokens are, pretty. They're like deep, like in Dungeons and Dragons. They're just straightforward -2 energy. No flash on that token, but. Whatever, it's not that big a deal. Also in the box, every character has their own cards that get mixed into the main deck. But there's also these holographic or foil, whatever you want to call them, cards that are all shiny that you can mix in. Obviously, we didn't use them because we haven't sleeved this game yet, and you really want to sleeve these.
Yeah.
Also, the nice people at Corvus Belly were kind enough to, I hope I said that name, Corvus Belly, I think. Yeah. They gave us a nice promo, an alternate art card for Maximus, so that's really cool. Thank you guys, appreciate that. Also, there are a lot of expansions already out for this game. There's one here. This is the only one that we have, Soldiers of Fortune. We haven't used this one yet. I'll probably do a video after I play with these characters, but this you get like a whole extra team. You get 4 new characters. There's more like this. There are some that have a fewer number of characters, and also when I say a whole team, I mean, I think these guys just work real well together, but you can mix and match however you want to create your own custom team.
Which is definitely like the coolest thing about this whole universe is the fact that there's more to get and more to, figure out what team works best for you. Like, I'm totally excited to play with all the new characters and get the rest of the expansions to see, who plays best to my style, because they all play a little bit differently.
And you're probably going to want to get a dice pack too, which is what we have. We always get dice packs for Imperial Assault and Descent and all those kind of games, because you can only ever roll a maximum of one. Where is it? 1 green or 1 orange? No,
one
not
green
orange.
and
1
one red.
green and 1 red. 3 blue, 3 yellow, 3, and they give you like exactly that amount. So if you're ever rolling your max, you have to, and somebody else is using that color, you have to roll your max, then stop and hand that die to somebody else.
Yeah. So if each player had their own dice pack, like you'd always have your maximum amount of dice that you'll be rolling, and they'll have their max if they ever, play cards to get to their max.
So overall, I was really surprised with this game. I had a lot of fun, and maybe that opinion doesn't matter that much to you if you're a real serious miniatures gamer, because I haven't played a lot of real serious miniatures games. I've really only played like X-Wing, and this is probably about as complex as that. But if you also haven't played a lot of real big, heavy miniatures games, then this would be a perfect place for you to start because, again, it's only about as heavy as X-Wing. There aren't that many rules. You get everything you need to play right out of the box. With just, one person buys it, you and your buddy, try it out, and then your buddy goes and gets a copy or goes and gets more dice and goes and gets more expansions and all that kind of stuff. Because, again, I had a lot of fun with it. It was really, really, really awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had a ton of fun playing this game. I haven't played a lot of miniatures games either, so is definitely a good segue into it if you want to test the waters for bigger miniatures games, or like this in itself is it can get pretty big with all the expansions, and there's just a lot of fun to be had here, and I highly recommend this game as well. We'll have a link in the description box down below if you want to get yourself a copy.
And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. I think a box like this would be perfect because there's a couple of scenarios.